it happened fast, huh? It just, you were living life and now you're back in ours. What a beautiful transition, man. I don't know if it's caught you by surprise. I know you've been working on this for a long time, but SNL this weekend, shows had its stage debut. You know, you got the teasers out there. I mean, bro, when you go to work, you go to work.
Well, I'm excited, so I don't mind it. It's fun. I mean, I worked for a long time on this album, and I ended up with like 100 songs. So narrowing them down to 18 was a thing. And then, yeah, I'm really excited about this album. I think every artist probably says this, but it is my best work.
I agree with you, Justin. I think it's the album. I described it to someone in my family who I can talk to confidentially and break and cover now. I said, any part of Justin Timberlake's music that you felt is peak JT is the whole thing. That's what it feels like to me.
Wow. Thanks, man. Yeah, I think, how many songs did I play? I played you like 8 or 9.
It's more than that. I feel like we were into double figures, I feel like, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I just wanted to hear the whole damn thing. But you were right. When you played this one, you'd already played, for me, a whole bunch of contenders that could have launched this album and this whole new era for you. But you said, no. When I play either one, you'll understand. I do. But what did you mean by that?
I always love the idea that there's still so much to discover about an album that, I feel like if I did it correctly, I'm still discovering things even, years later after I listened to it. And that's the way I always listen to my favorite artists. So I feel like that's what I try to do with my own music. I mean, you listen to Stevie Wonder, a song like Ribbon in the Sky or even, Sir Duke, those songs, the way I experienced them when I was 8 years old, and then the way I experienced them when I was 15 years old, and then the way I experienced them when, as you continue to go back to them, you hear new things.
They literally change shape in your life. They change chemistry as you do.
And that's the beauty about music too, right? Like it's such a vessel within itself to help us as humans express ourselves.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't write it, you find that relation to that emotion, which led me to the first single. And in writing that song, the moment that it happened was like 2 a.m, but I had just, a friend of mine who's also my music director, who's probably a friend of the whole family over there, Adam Blackstone.
Yep.
He was like, you want to come up and sing something? And I randomly threw out, oh yeah, let's do Donny Hathaway's cover of Jealous Guy by Lennon. We were talking about the song itself and just breaking down the idea that like, you just don't hear that from men often, that they would express an emotion that makes them vulnerable. And then growing up the way I grew up, like you're kind of taught not to do that, so, but I don't know. So it just felt like a really honest song. The lyrics just started to come out honestly. And when I listened to the whole album, I felt like it's probably, of all the songs on the album, production-wise, probably the most straightforward. And I don't want to say simple because it's complex within its simplicity to me.
Yeah. You could be complex and reduced. No question about it.
Right. It's the most reduced. That's a good way of, it's the most reduced of the sonics of the album. And also, the more I played it for the people around me, the more I would notice them singing it for days after.
It's really hooky. It's sticky as. And also, you know what? It's very effortless. It really plays into your ability to be able to get inside an arrangement and perform it in a way that carries some weight, some heaviness to what you're trying to say. You're connected, but you float on this, which I think is the mark of a great performer and a great singer. And you obviously, you've done that your whole life, man. How did it feel on stage? Did you own it?
It felt, well, thank you, by the way. But yeah, it felt great. It felt great. I mean, I think, the fans that were in the room, they had heard a snippet of it.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
It just felt good to sing it live.
Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting too. There was one guy who was down close to the front who kept saying again. And I was like, look, man, there's a curfew. Like, we got to get out of here at some point. But it was just really cool. It's like, I had the show planned, right? And it's like you could do a listening party or whatever. But then like, if you're there, why not just play the song live? So, I worked on it with the band and we just did it live. And it was such that whole night was such a soulful, loving, like just the vibe in the room is just really special.
To begin again from where you began in the first place, you don't have to be a genius to figure out that there's a serious connective tissue for that between you and Memphis and the desire to go home to start this new part of your life.
Well, specifically with the Orpheum too, like that theater in Memphis, my mom, and she used to take me to, when Broadway shows would tour through.
So the memories must have been flooding through your mind even when you were in your own flow state on stage then.
There's actually a snippet of a video that I released where I'm sitting in the seats on the day before when we were going through rehearsal, and I'm just kind of staring at the stage. And I was trying to remember, there was one show that I think it was like Cats or something, but I was like, I think I was 8 or 9 years old, and I remember we had seats on the floor, and it was just like so mind blowing to me to see just a production, in a theater at that time. And yeah, I had a lot of nostalgia, a lot of memories flowing back in. And it was also really special too, because the night after the show was my mother's birthday.
Oh, come on.
So having everyone in this theater sing happy birthday to my mom.
I love how thoughtful you're being about this. We're so used to music just happening. And I'm here for that. Like, I love nothing more than just waking up and it's happening. But I also really love it when an artist who's taken their time takes their time and tries to put it together so that when you look back on this era, it's not just for us. You've got things that you'll be able to say, well, that was for me and for my mom and that was for my family, and it's deeper than just putting music out.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about speaks to the album as well. And in all of its form is there's really so much of it that it just really feels good. It just really feels good. The thoughts and emotions and feelings that came to me in writing these songs, and the people I collaborated with, got to share these moments with, and so how I feel like I was able on some of the songs to sort of look back at the past and have a real, not a refracted perspective of what it was. You always hear that thing about like, well, there's never any truth. There's just everybody's perspective of what happened. But to really look at it and be able to metabolize and verbalize my perspective on it, I don't think I've ever really done that before.
With increased wisdom and experience, life lived, and some self-awareness, you would hope when you arrive at a place to create that you're ready to make your most honest personal album to date. Is that what this is?
I think there are moments that are incredibly honest, but I also like there's a lot of fun on this album.
There's a lot of tempo and a lot of fun on this record.
There's a lot of fun on this album, and I think that's where I came up with the album title, with everything I thought it was. I was playing it for people around me. They're like, "Oh, this sounds like everything we know you for." And then another friend of mine was like, "Oh, this sounds like everything I thought I wanted from you." Like it was like that sort of phrase in one way or another was in the air.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself about how some of the songs are more introspective and some of them are more sort of what I think people know me for.
Oh, it's intergalactic, interplanetary future funk. Do not get it twisted.
Well, yeah, tell your friends.
Your friends. Everyone I've spoken to who's heard that you're on SNL this weekend is thrilled you're back to perform and super devastated you're not going to be hosting because you do such a good job of doing both. And I'm the only one who stands up in front of them and says, no, you're getting it wrong. I'm thrilled he's not hosting, because to me it means that you're dedicating yourself right now to your music and you're not seeing yourself as the kind of 360 creative person that we've come to know you as. And was that a very deliberate call for you?
Yes. I flirted with the idea of should I host or ask to host. And then I just thought, no, I really, this album is really special to me. in a different way. And yeah, you read that perfectly. But I also cannot imagine that I won't get pulled into a sketch or two. I mean, it's only natural. So, and I'm here for it. Like that's always fun. I mean, SNL for me in any capacity.
How many times now?
Well, I've hosted 5, but I don't even know how many times I've been on the show.
Did they let you keep the jacket, or is that just for show? Do you have the jacket?
You know what? I'm going to make sure I have it. I don't know if they gave me the jacket.
You need to find out if you have the jacket.
You know what? They're probably reusing it next time they have a 5-timer.
You need to show up this weekend and just be like, look, I'm happy to be here, but where's my jacket?
If I'm leaving with something.
It's good to see you, man. Thanks for coming back with such a, I would consider this a really effortless, natural return. I'm here for artists that push things forward, and sometimes I need that friction in my life to reconnect to somebody, but I'm just happy to hear you sounding in such good voice, connecting to the material,
Thanks, man. Well, I enjoyed our listening session, and I can't wait for you to hear the whole thing in all of its glory.